Good evening, folks, and welcome to what is going to be a massive episode of the Game of Two Halves podcast, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Evening, my name is Tonchi Prusak, and I'm your host for, well, I'm going to put it out there now and say for the next 90 minutes, because we have got no less than 6 guests on tonight's program. It is going to be massive. It is going to be huge, and we thank you for being with us and spending another Monday night here with the all the latest news from around the region, and we've got a big global component of the Geelong Region Soccer Show and the Game of Two Halves tonight. So in the global game tonight, we'll be talking to 2 young lasses. It's part of Female Football Week, so we're going to be celebrating it in a big way here. 2 young lasses, 2 very talented young female footballers from the Geelong region, and they were recently the winners of the Euro Football Star objective testing session that was held at the Leisure Time Sports Precinct for the region's young players. And EVIE, STOSIC and ANASTAZIJA, SIMIC, they both finished first and second, or finished in the top 2. And as a result, they were both awarded an unbelievable opportunity of a football trip of a lifetime to the UK next year, worth $8,000 each. And we'll be talking to the 2 young ladies in question very, very shortly in the global game segment. Now, tonight's local game segment is proudly sponsored by J Hill's Bookkeeping, Judy Hill, and for all of your needs, pardon me. Here we go. Just bringing it up right now. For all of your bookkeeping needs, contact Judy Hill Bookkeeping, and she'll be able to help you with everything that you need as far as anything with your business. As a result of that sponsorship, Judy Hill has nominated Lara United. And get this, we'll be speaking to PAUL GRZYBEK, the president of Lara United. We'll also be speaking to 2 members of the senior women's team who are doing very, very well in their debut season of Women's State League 1 competition. IZZY Wilkinson, she's the top goal scorer at the moment for Lara United, and she'll be joining us along with KASEY ICARDI as well. And fingers crossed, a little after 9 o'clock, because they are on the training track until very, very late tonight. We may be speaking to the senior men's coach as well, Eric Lawrence. They've got a big game coming up on Friday, the big local derby against Surfside Waves, and that's going to be happening at home at Lara Recreation Reserve on Friday. But we'll be talking a little bit more about that later on in the local game segment. But in the meantime, we are going to be now time for the global game, and in the global game, we'll be talking to EVIE, STOSIC and ANASTAZIJA, SIMIC. They'll be joining us straight after the break, folks. Don't go away. It is the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And as I said, we're celebrating Female Football Week in a huge way tonight. Don't go away, folks. That's right, folks. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is now time for the global game segment of tonight's Game of Two Halves podcast, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the show two lovely young ladies. ANASTAZIJA SIMIC there on the left, and we've got EVIE STOSIC on the right. Girls, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Good, thanks.
It's great to have you both on, and fantastic. Thank you for joining us. First of all, ANASTAZIJA, over to you first. Tell us, how was the objective testing, and how did you find it when you first did it?
It was pretty good. Some of the things are pretty hard to do, like the beep test. I was tiring, but they're pretty fun, activities to do.
Did you have a chance to practice any of the drills beforehand, or did you just go into the whole session cold?
We just went into it cold. We got no practice really.
What about yourself, Evie? How did you find the tasks? How did you find the challenges?
Well, like Tazi said, the beep test was tiring, like the endurance tests, and like the shooting was quite entertaining. Like the dribbling skills were fine to me, and the one-on-ones were pretty easy.
In that little clip just before, we just saw some of the different objective testing that they do have, and there's, I think, 6 different stations and what you're not. And look, Ray Wood, who's the head of Euro Football Star, he was saying that he actually said how he was so impressed by the caliber of some of the boys and girls here in Geelong, particularly the young ladies, the females, and he felt he was really impressed by that. Now, girls, as a result of all that, you get a trip to the UK. How does that feel?
It seems good, yeah.
ANASTAZIJA, you first. Who told you, first of all, mum or dad, or was someone else? And how did you feel? What were your emotions when you found out that you could be going to the UK on an all expenses football trip of a lifetime?
It was my mum who told me, and I got excited because I've never left Australia. I've never been to Europe.
Wow, really? So this will be the first time. Yeah, so when will it be happening?
It's September next year.
September next year. Evie, what about you? You've received quite a few awards in your short and illustrious football career so far. A lot of individual accolades, but to find out that you topped you're one of the 2 that topped the scores here in Geelong. Who told you, and how did you feel? What was your first emotions?
I think it was Dad who told me.
You can't remember? You're that excited?
Yeah, and I was pretty excited when I heard it, to go overseas to see the standards, to see players play and all that stuff like that.
Yeah. We'll stay with you, Evie. There's a little bit of footage of you playing and just burning up the wings and scoring a goal. Now, you're actually this year, amongst other things, you're playing with the boys. You're playing with your cousins' team and being coached by your uncle in the Metro under-13 boys. Tell us, what's that experience like, and how are you finding playing with the boys?
Well, I really like it so far. It's a lot more challenging. It's more faster. It's tougher, which is good. And it gives me more opportunity to develop and all that stuff like that.
When you say tougher, do you mean what, like physically, or are they very rough, or when they see a girl, do they back off, or boys being boys, are they pretty tough and full on?
Yeah, boys being boys, they just tackle. It's a fair game and it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you've grown up with an older brother and cousins and what you're not and that kind of stuff. Has that sort of helped you kind of get used to that ruggedness of playing with the boys?
Yeah, when I see my cousins, we always play soccer, stuff like that, and we just muck around, tackling each other, all that stuff.
Yeah. Are you playing with any of the female teams? Because you've got the North Geelong gear on there, so you're obviously playing your football. Both of you do play football at North Geelong. But are you playing with any of the other female teams that either play in the Metro Comp or locally here in Geelong?
I play with the under 14, 15 local team.
Mm-hmm. So that's
And
on a Saturday, yeah?
yeah.
And then
And
you
I
play
also
on, sorry?
Sunday with the boys, yeah.
Yeah. So you're
And then
pretty, yeah.
I also I train with the older girls with Tasia and my sister.
Yeah.
And sometimes I play with them sometimes, not all the time, but yeah.
Yeah. What's your sister's name? Give her a plug here on
Uh,
the Game of
it's
Two Halves.
Zoe.
Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe.
Yeah. And you've also got an older brother, Zach, who's in the North Geelong under-21s. Yeah. Anastasia, what about you? Which teams do you play for at North Geelong? And we've got a little bit of footage here of you. As they refer to you as Tasia. Can we call you Tasia?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. There we go. There's Tasia Simic in action. Now, this was in the country championships last year. Actually, how was that? Explain to us, what was it like playing for Geelong in the country championships?
It was good. It was good, like playing with new people, playing with my friends, getting to play with them and that.
Yeah. And which teams do you play for? Oh, that's a good tackle, that one there. Which teams do you play for at North Geelong?
I just play for the under 16 Metro girls.
The under 16, yeah. And how are you finding the competition up in Melbourne compared to, say, some of the competition that you've been used to here in Geelong?
It's definitely better. It's more challenging. More challenging compared to the local league. More fun because I get to play with more of my friends. And yeah.
Yeah. Now at North Geelong, both your parents have been heavily involved. Both your dads have been involved heavily, coaching various teams. Tasia, I know your mum was very involved, getting the women's side of things up and the girls and things like that, as well as the juniors. So you've obviously had parents very heavily involved in all your football throughout, having siblings as well. But there's a real pathway now for, you guys started at under 7 level and now working your way up, and there's a real pathway for girls at North Geelong. Is that something that you'd like to stay right until you get to the senior football, or are you even thinking about maybe moving on beforehand and, I don't know, going into the NPL W or the A-League W? What are your plans for the future? First of all, with you, Evie?
Well, I want to go as far as I can go. I want to see where I end up, challenge myself to see how far I can go.
Does that mean maybe moving overseas one day?
Yeah, one day, hopefully.
Tasia, what about yourself?
Yeah, same with Evie. I'd love to see how far I can get, to see how hard and how high of a division I could get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, both of you are going to get that opportunity to taste international football, I guess, next year when you go overseas, go to the UK, courtesy of Euro Football Star. Do you know much about what, I don't know, the itinerary or what the plans are, or what experiences you're going to get whilst you're going to be there? September in 2024, was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going on some tours of the stadiums, going to watch some games and stuff like that. Champions League, Premier League, I think. And I think we'll get to train with some teams.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, we get to train with some of the senior women's of a few of the teams. We get to do some training over there and a few games against the academies.
Well, we're talking with two of the girls, two young, talented female footballers from the Geelong region who have, in recent months, they've earned themselves an $8,000 plus value holiday football trip of a lifetime. Call it what you want to call it, but it's going to be an experience and a half next year to the UK in September 2024. Courtesy of a Euro Football Star, and that all for doing something that you love doing, and that's kicking a soccer ball around. As we said, you'll probably get a bit of a taste of what it will be like to be, a professional, or to train with the professionals, or what it's like to live with in a professional lifestyle. Up until now, Tasia, first of all, what has been the most inspiring thing for you playing, in your football, let's call it your football journey so far? Who has most inspired you?
Probably like maybe my dad. He's played a bit. He plays like with the older boys. He played in the I don't know what the
Sunday League,
division's
the
called.
Hacks, yeah,
Yeah, the
the
Sunday A
Sunday
League.
League, yeah. Yep.
Um,
Are there any international footballers, either Australian or overseas footballers, male or female? Any superstars that you sort of like look up to?
I don't mind Sam Kerr. She's alright. She scores a
Mm-hmm.
fair few goals.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing about Sam Kerr, she started off at a Croatian-backed club, the Western Knights in Perth. It's like you girls. You girls are starting off at a Croatian-backed club, the North Geelong Warriors. You never know where your dreams may lead you to. Evie, what about you? Who's really inspired you so far in your soccer journey, your footballing journey?
Probably the same as Tarzia, my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He's been coaching me for as long as I can remember,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just taught me all I need to know about it. Yeah.
Yeah. What about any football superstars, local or international? Anyone? We've heard Tarzia say Sam Kerr, and that's a given. Everyone, male or female, looks up to Sam Kerr. She's such an inspiration. But is there anyone that you personally really kind of look up to, and get excited watching these people play, either live or on TV?
Yeah, I love obviously Sam Kerr's a great player,
Mm-hmm.
and I also my favorite team's Liverpool, and I've been watching them a lot. And Mo
Mm-hmm.
Salah's just another inspiring person of mine.
Yeah. Now, I guess that's something I haven't asked you. Your positions, where do you prefer to play, and what is your favourite position? Evie, you mentioned Mo Salah is a very inspiring player. Don't get me now. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're an attacker, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a midfielder.
Midfielder, yep. So, any particular role in the midfield? Central, cam, left, right wing.
Well, I like to play like a six, more
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of defense and attacking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what about you, Tarzia?
Oh, I just like to play forward up front, striker.
Score goals, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you going so far this year?
Good. I've got a fair few goals so far.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's keep it that way. Keep it going. And Evie, how is your team? How are your teams going at the moment?
Well, the girls under 14s local, we're tying third at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And this weekend we're versing the team we're tying to, so it'll be an interesting match. And for the boys, we're looking around mid-table so far. We're doing well. You can see our development already, so yeah.
Oh, fantastic! We've got Josip Zilic, whose son Ben Zilic has been another lucky recipient of Euro Football Stars mentorship and guidance, and he's currently over in England at the moment, the Steve Gerrard Academy. And he says, I'll just pop that up on screen actually. Usually the players get 3 sessions and a match with a top-level academy side from the north of England, and then the same in the south, say in the London area. Stadium tours, up to 3 matches, EPL and or Champions League, and lots of other things, mate. If that doesn't get you guys excited, I don't think anything will. But you can tell by your smiles on your faces, you are super, super excited about what awaits next year. Until then, I guess there's a lot of hard work. And what first of all, just to finish it up, Evie, what are you hoping to achieve over the next 12 months before you go on the trip to the UK? What's in your plans?
Well, I want to develop as much as I can. I
Mm-hmm.
want to keep pushing myself, getting out of my comfort zone, and that's what I'm doing with the boys.
Yep.
I want to keep trialing for things, keep trying new things, keep trying to go rep, like other things like that I can do.
Yeah, beautiful, fantastic. You seem to have a real good idea of where you want to progress over the next 12 months. And what about yourself, Tarzia? What are your goals, say, for the next 12 or so months before you head off to the UK on this trip?
Yeah, same roughly with baby. Work as hard as I can, get as better as I can. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
get like
fantastic.
work as hard as possible.
Yeah, keeping it simple. Girls, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you both. I don't think there was any bit of nerves or tenseness in your voices. So you guys have done a fantastic job. And if you approach your football the way you approach your PR and your interviewing, I think there is nothing to worry about. But you're a credit to your parents, you're a credit to your club, and certainly a credit to your teammates and your coaches. So well done, and thank you for joining us here on the Game of Two Halves.
Thanks for having us.
Good on you. That was an absolute pleasure to have those two young lasses here on the Game of Two Halves podcast, EVIE STOSIC and ANASTAZIJA SIMIC. We'll be back, folks, very, very shortly. When we return, it is going to be a time for the local game. And initially, we are going to do the news roundup of all the games played over the weekend, all the major senior games played over the weekend. And then it's time for our Club in Focus feature, folks. Don't go away. We'll be back very, very shortly. Are you too busy running your own business to worry about your financials? Allow J Hill Bookkeeping to focus on your books so you can focus on your core business. J Hill Bookkeeping's owner, operator and senior bookkeeper Judy Hill has always worked in finance administration. Based in Lara, the world of cloud accounting, however, means that clients can be based anywhere within Australia. Currently, J Hill Bookkeeping services clients from Lara, Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula and Melbourne. You won't need to come home from working all day and start on paperwork. You can spend your time in other productive areas, such as marketing or quoting, or even better, come home and switch off. Let J Hill Bookkeeping take the stress out of running a small business and allow you to enjoy watching your business go to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au, or better yet, call us on 0402 469 243 or email us at info@jhillbooks.com.au. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And folks, our focus this year has been the World Game locally and taking it to a global level. And just prior to the break, we had two young girls who are doing very, very well in the local scene, and they are set to take their game globally when they go on tour with the Euro Football Star trip to the UK next year in 2023. Now, before we get onto the local game, speaking of local football going overseas, three former North Geelong Warriors players are currently playing in the Croatian fourth tier competition with NK Urania Baška Voda. Over the weekend, Nicholas Vladovic, Anthony Leban and Luka Skorko played in their team's game. It was the second penultimate round of the Croatian fourth tiered competition, and they lost, unfortunately, but the Geelong boys, or two of the three Geelong boys combined, and you'll see Anthony Leban there, number 9, he passes the ball to number 7, Nicholas Vladovic, to score a goal, and the Geelong boys did very well, or the former Geelong boys did very, very well. And ironically enough, today it is Nicholas Vladovic's 21st birthday. So to the former North Geelong Warrior, happy birthday there. And Luka Skorko did start off on the bench, while Vladovic and Leban did start on the field. Unfortunately, not good news. Their team was relegated over the weekend. So I doubt very much they'll be staying at Urania. They'll probably move on later on. Anyway, speaking of moving on, it's time to now move on and talk about all the weekend's results. And for some, it was fantastic. For others, it was not so fantastic. And we'll move starting at the top, where it was not very fantastic. The trio's former club, North Geelong Warriors, came up against the Bentley Greens in the Battle of the Cellar Dwellers. Unfortunately, North Geelong was not able to collect all 3 points, and they went down 1-2. Before next weekend, they've got a very, very important Australia Cup clash tomorrow night at Alco Park from 7:30 p.m. This game will be streamed live. It's a round 6 Australia Cup clash. North Geelong taking on St Albans Dynamo, the only team they've managed to win at home. So that game kicks off at 7:30. Other than that, next Saturday, the Warriors are off to Port Melbourne to take on Port Melbourne at Anderson Reserve. That is on Saturday night. So when they say the goose is almost cooked, even though we've just started the second part of the NPL season, North Geelong, things are looking rather bleak for North Geelong. On the weekend, though, Geelong had a very good win over a very good side, the Goulburn Valley Suns, who were in fourth spot. Geelong defeated Goulburn Valley Suns with a 2-1 result, catapulting them up a couple of notches up the ladder to 7th spot. They've got a big game against Beaumaris this weekend. Beaumaris had a pretty big loss on the weekend, and if Geelong can continue this form, they'll certainly move closer and closer to that the top 2 promotion spots. Like North Geelong, Geelong are in the Australia Cup tomorrow. They've got a relatively easier opponent. They take on State League 1 outfit Brimbank Stallions. That game kicks off at 7:30 p.m. and is going to be streamed live from the City Vista Reserve. So, folks, you'll be able to tune in tomorrow night and watch all of these games on NPL TV. Moving to the state leagues, Corio came up against the might of Altona City, top team Altona City, who have only lost once this season, 8 wins from their 9 games. 4-2 win there for Altona City. This game was also streamed live, and it was beamed all the way back to the Corio Soccer Club club rooms on Saturday night. Vedran Stojanovic and Billy Argyros scored the goals for Corio. But this week they've got a very, very important home game against Keilor Park at home. So it's a must-win game for Corio to escape that dreaded relegation zone. Now, the team that is really proving to be, I guess, very, very entertaining in many, many ways is the Geelong Rangers. Last week they copped a big 7-0 thumping, or 8-0 thumping. This week they came up against the second-placed Altona East Phoenix and took it right up to the Phoenix. And in the end, it was a 1-1 result. And get this, James Hiddich scored the equaliser in the 95th minute. Like the 95th minute, that tells you what a climactic finish that was in the end. So what a result that was for the Geelong Rangers. They took a point. They are in 9th spot. This week, they travelled to Grange Reserve in Hoppers Crossing to take on Hoppers Crossing. Now, should Hoppers Crossing win, they'll leap from Geelong Rangers. Geelong Rangers drop into the relegation zone. Should Geelong Rangers win, they may well jump up to possibly 3 spots there. Well, that's all over the table, that the sequence. But they could jump up all but 3 spots, maybe even, a very important game for the Rangers. Men's State 4, we had some mixed results here. Surf Coast absolutely pummeled bottom side Gisborne, 8-2. John Pikett scoring 4 goals. Bell Park lost to the high-flying Moonee Valley Knights. And Barwon had a brilliant 4-2 win over Keilor Park. And last week we had Dale Harris, the Barwon coach, and he did predict it was going to be a tough game and a good game, and it was indeed a good game. Milton Bailey scoring a hat-trick there. Now, next week, Surf Coast are at home to Spring Hills. Bell Park take on Truganina Hornets, and then Barwon will be taking on Moonee Ponds United. So a win for Barwon will see them jump over Moonee Ponds United, and that would be the ideal result for Barwon. Now, moving along to State 5 before we take a short little break. In State 5, Deakin University defeated Wynnum 4-0. Lara United defeated Ballarat 4-1. We had 4 different goal scorers: Jai Watts, Josh Kuipers, Jordan Nelson, and Oscar Mayondo. And then, unfortunately, Surfside Waves came up against the bottom side ETA Buffalo and weren't able to take advantage of that. They, in fact, lost 4-2. Daniel Benso and Harry Whittaker scored the goals for the Waves, and Whittaker received a red card after his second bookable offence in the 87th minute. So this week we've got a huge local derby, Lara United taking on Surfside Waves on Friday night at Lara Recreation Reserve. That's at 8:30 p.m. And then we've got Ballarat taking on Deakin Ducks the following day. And that will be on at 3 p.m. in Ballarat. Folks, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, we'll be looking at the women's competition as well, the VPLW. We'll be looking at the Women's State League 1 competition, and we'll also take a look at what's happening locally as well. Folks, don't go away. It's the Game of Two Halves. Are you too busy running your own business to worry about your financials? Allow J Hill Bookkeeping to focus on your books so you can focus on your core business. J Hill Bookkeeping's owner, operator and senior bookkeeper Judy Hill has always worked in finance administration. Based in Lara, the world of cloud accounting, however, means that clients can be based anywhere within Australia. Currently, J Hill Bookkeeping services clients from Lara, Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula and Melbourne. You won't need to come home from working all day and start on paperwork. You can spend your time in other productive areas, such as marketing or quoting, or even better, come home and switch off. Let J Hill Bookkeeping take the stress out of running a small business and allow you to enjoy watching your business go to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au, or better yet, call us on 0402 469 243 or email us at info@jhillbooks.com.au. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves. It is the local game, and we're quickly having a very, very quick look at the local scene that happened on the weekend, all the games that have been played, and we're also going to then take a Club in Focus feature look at Lara United Football Club, thanks to our episode sponsor tonight, J Hill Bookkeeping. So we're going to pick up where we left off. Let's take a look at the women's competition. And first of all, it's the Victorian Premier League women's competition, the women's VPL. Geelong Galaxy have been doing very, very well in recent weeks, and that's probably no small a reason for that has been the scintillating goal-scoring form of Aya Sano. She scored a double in Galaxy's 6-1 thrashing of Glen Waverley. Shian Roselli also scored two. Dada Day scored one, and Lily Dennis scored one as Geelong Galaxy ran riot over Glen Waverley 6-1. Aya Sano now has scored 14 goals for the Galaxy, so more than half of Galaxy's goals have been scored by her, as Geelong Galaxy takes a firm footing in the top half of the competition standings, as we can see there. Now, unfortunately, the Galaxy have got a bye next week, so they won't have an opportunity to move further up the ladder. But at the moment, as things stand, they're only 6 points behind the two dual leaders, although Brunswick Juventus does have a game in hand, and gosh, aren't they doing very well? There's a Geelong flavour there at Brunswick Juventus with former Geelong Galaxy footballer Lara Spiranovic playing her football currently at Brunswick Juventus, and they certainly look like the team to beat at the moment. In State League 1, well, it was 2 wins and a draw for and a loss for the Geelong teams. First of all, for North Geelong, they came up against the might of Bundoora United yesterday at Alco Park, and unfortunately for the Geelong side, Bundoora United ran rampant to score 7-1. Maya Popplewell was the lone goal scorer for North Geelong. Caroline Springs took on Geelong Rangers at the City Vista Reserve in Caroline Springs, and the Geelong Rangers did exceptionally well. A 3-2 win over Caroline Springs. 3 individual goal scorers, Danny Mandich, Edie Alberti, and Jamila Lane, all scoring for the Geelong Rangers. The first win of the season, and what a win it was. It was a fantastic result for the Rangers. Lara United, they took on Brunswick Zebras, and we'll be talking to KASEY, ICARDI and IZZY Wilkinson from the Lara United women's senior team. They'll be joining us very, very shortly, but before that, we'll be speaking to the president of Lara United, PAUL GRZYBEK. But Lara United yesterday at the Lara Recreation Reserve defeated the Brunswick Zebras 2-0. Penelope Sebastian and Ella Polglaze scoring the all-important goals for Lara United. And Lara now jumps to third spot on the competition standings. They're just 2 points behind Keilor Park, so they're doing exceptionally well there. Next week, Craigieburn City hosts Geelong Rangers. Craigieburn City have not even managed to get a point in their first 5 games. So the Rangers will certainly be going into this clash rather positively. Clifton Hill will be taking on North Geelong, who will be looking to get back on the winners' track. And Keilor Park taking on Lara United. What a game that is going to be at Keilor Park Reserve. Should Lara United win that game, they will jump. They will leapfrog Keilor Park into second spot on the competition standing. So how good is it? What great timing that we have got the Lara United women's team featured on this week's show. So that is going to be absolutely fantastic. We'll be now looking, if we look over to the men's, we'll be now turning our attention to the local competition. And first of all, let's look at the women's competition. So the 15-team women's competition. We've got the results from last week. Corio Bay destroyed Armstrong United 5-0. Then we had Surfside Waves and Deakin Ducks Black play a 1-1 draw. Golden Plains defeated FC Leopold 3-0. Ballerine Sharks and Barwon Heads. We don't have a score of that game. So if anyone knows the score of that game, please pop it in the chat section. Lara United went down to Surf Coast 4-1. Drysdale Soccer Club really asserted their top spot with a 6-0 thumping of Deakin Ducks Gold. Deakin Ducks' second team. Bell Park Women defeated Barwon 1-0. So we had those scores there. And if we have a look at the bottom end of the competition standings, Ballerine Sharks, Barwon Heads, they bring up the rear. FC Leopold third last. And up the top there, Corio Bay in 9th position and Geelong in 10th position. Moving along now to the men's competition, the men's Division 1. It all started on Friday night. We had 2 games played. Barwon Blue defeated FC Leopold 4-1. Bell Park defeated Geelong Rangers 7-2 to solidify their spot at the top of the competition standings. Look at that. 5 games, 5 wins from 5 games. Armstrong United defeated Barwon Heads 4-1. And finally, in a very close contest at Grovedale Reserve on Sunday, Barwon White defeated Breakwater Eagles 4-3. And that's the state of affairs at the moment with all the local teams. We're going to take a very, very short break. And when I say short, very short. When we return, we'll be talking to the president of Lara United, PAUL GRZYBEK. We look forward to that as part of tonight's Club in Focus segment. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome PAUL GRZYBEK to the show tonight, the president of Lara United. PAUL, welcome to the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. How are you? Oh, we seem to be having some problems with his audio. There could be, maybe the microphone has been switched off. We tested this earlier hopefully we'll try that again. We did test this earlier, and everything was working well, and we just can't seem to get a hold of PAUL. PAUL, are you there? We might go over to IZZY Wilkinson and KASEY ICARDI. They are the members of the senior women's team, and they're on standby, and they're ready to jump on. So hopefully we're going to have them on the show now very quickly. There we go. Welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer Show's Game of Two Halves. IZZY Wilkinson and KASEY ICARDI. How are you, ladies?
Yeah, good, thanks.
We're good.
Oh, we can hear you guys. We can't hear the president. So you guys are doing something better than the Prez himself. How are you, girls? And first of all, congratulations on the win on the weekend.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
we're doing
you.
well. Bit
Yeah.
sore, but that's always what happens on a Monday.
Yeah, it does. Izzy, first of all, over to you. Apart from the fact that, you know, you guys are winning really, really well and doing very well, you're also the lead goal scorer at the moment. Is scoring goals something that you've always wanted to do? I think it's 4 or 5 goals for the season so far.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very much a team effort, but it's always
Yeah.
nice to get a few goals on the board, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And what's been your secret to maintaining your winning formula that you know were able to achieve in State League Two, Women's State League Two last year, and you've continued that into the State League One competition this year?
I think just realising that success was so massive. I think we didn't really have the chance last year to reflect on it, and I think this year it's just been a big motivator for us.
Yeah,
because it's just such a huge achievement. So I think, yeah, we just want to prove ourselves in State One and hopefully do well.
yeah, yeah. Fantastic, Kelsey. What about yourself? Were you part of the team last year, or you've come back?
I have been around for a while, so I'm part of the furniture. But I sit more at the back line and central defence.
Yeah.
So not up there on the goal scoring opportunities. So don't get to see my name a lot. But yeah, I guess it's a really big driver that there's 3 Geelong teams in the competition. So, you know, we all want to support one another, but we're all so competitive against one another. And I think that's a huge driver for not only myself and the team, but to do well and see where we are going to sit in the ladder for the rest of the year. I think that's a big driver for...
Yeah, yep. And we had Ryan Horrocks and his dad from Geelong Rangers a couple of weeks back here, 3 weeks back or something like that. And that was one of the things that they both said they were really looking forward to, the local derbies. And I guess having the local derbies really, really fires you up to do well, to do better in your own performance. And let's take a look at that ladder just there. But Kelsey, we talk about the fact that you are in the defence, apart from Bundoora United, who just seem to be an absolute machine at the moment. You've got the second best defence there in the competition, having conceded only 5 goals. And look, as any coach will say, championships are created from the defence, are made from the defence. Who else is in your back line that you play alongside? And give them a bit of a shout now, because they are doing a very good job.
We've got such a talented team on hand. We all play multiple positions, so we can rotate and play in the centre. We can all play in the attack line, and we all can all play in the defence. But mostly it's made up of Ala, Monica, Taylor, and Erin. Who else? Sammy. Yeah, she hasn't played for 2 weeks because she's been out. But Sammy, always a key to our defence line. So those six of us players, absolutely.
Now, your goalkeeper, Steph Anderson, she also has the, I guess, the pleasure, or I don't know, the pleasure or maybe the torture of having her dad being a Dave Anderson being a goalkeeping coach there as well. Has that helped or has that hindered her performance? Well, her performance is obviously very good, but does she like having her dad there as a goalkeeping coach / assistant coach, or would she prefer not to? We're going to get someone in trouble here.
Yeah, I think she enjoys it. I mean, it's been so good this year. After last year, it's just, you couldn't really top it, but she seems to be doing pretty well. So he must be doing something right.
Yeah. Now, the fact that her brother is one of the co-coaches at North Geelong, Michael Anderson as well, that does that drive David and Steph even more harder to now try and do better than North Geelong?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
What was it like when it was the recent derby between those? Were they on talking terms to each other after the game?
I think they actually had dinner after the game.
That was a tense conversation.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But it is Female Football Week and we're celebrating it in a big way here. But let's talk about female football. It has really gone a massive way. And when you think about it over the last decade or so, you were struggling to get a pathway from, let's say, the under-7s all the way up to senior women's football. These days, there's not only a pathway, but there are a lot of options as well. If one particular club doesn't suit a particular style, you can always go to another club. Izzy, firstly to you, does that really excite you, the fact that now for young girls, young female footballers, there's a real good pathway from, under-7s all the way to various levels of senior football here in Geelong?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew up playing seniors from about 10 years old. So to see now that there's so many pathways for young girls, it's just so exciting. And I mean, we have some of the young girls come and join us at games, and it's so nice. And it's, yeah, the motivation, it's just so nice to see for them.
Yeah, yep. Kelsey, what about yourself? What's your footballing journey been like? And when you look back at how you developed and ended up as a senior women's footballer.
Yeah, so I actually played in Queensland for all of my juniors and moved down here for university. So I grew up in a regional town, and you just didn't have opportunities living close to a capital city like Melbourne or even Geelong. And, to see Geelong grow, I started at Deakin Ducks and then moved over to Lara, and it's been an absolute delight. The club has just welcomed me with open arms. And they put so much emphasis on development of their younger players and, having the opportunities to bring those younger players up, because that's all about the foundations of the team and making sure that the team has legs and longevity. So it's actually a highlight for me when I play and I get to see the young girls do something, whether it's pass a ball or assist a goal in the game, and you just see their face light up because that's what they've worked so hard at training and then getting involved in everything. And whether it's 5 to 15 minutes on the field, it's just such a joy to play with that.
Yeah. Now, at the recent derby, when North Geelong travelled to Lara Recreation Reserve to take on you girls, I was there and I popped in there for about half an hour for the first half, and I ran into a former Lara United player, the Christy Merry, who alongside Emily Sutcliffe is now at Burundara Carey Eagles in the NPLW competition. I had a quick chat, and they're loving their time and they're loving being challenged there, and they just absolutely enjoyed that. For particularly maybe some of the younger girls who see a stepping stone as well. Are there some of the players there within your ranks who are eagerly either looking forward for Lara to get promoted into the VPLW competition, and who knows, maybe one day the NPLW, or who are looking at one day stepping up into some of these other clubs the way Christy and Emily did from Geelong?
Yeah, definitely. I think
Izzy?
there's quite a few young players, especially that are coming up through the under-15s, that are so talented. And I think for them, that would be such an exciting thought, is to either play VPL or NPL one day. So we've got quite a few that I think are just that talented, and they're still so young. They're 13, 14, 15 years old, that just have, so much potential. So I think definitely there's quite a few of them there.
Yeah. Kelsey?
Yeah, and for them to start at State League One at this early, they're going to learn some stuff that they would never get to experience in under-15s or playing juniors. Just ball contact, the challenges. So they're just going to immensely grow from that talent, and I think they've got a long future ahead of them.
Now, at Geelong Rangers, and remembering Geelong Rangers have made a double jump this year, like what North Geelong did last year, going from State 3 all the way up to State 1. So Geelong Rangers, they may be in third last position at the moment, but as we saw on the weekend, they did very, very well, and certainly they will be looking to do even better in the next coming weeks. But they've got a very young girl there in their ranks who scored on the weekend, Edie Aberti. I think she's only 14 or something like that. So definitely a freakish talent there. But if we look at that ladder, girls, next week, the big game, Keilor Park, at Keilor Park. So a win here will see you jump into second spot on the competition standings. Obviously, we don't want to kind of contemplate what will happen should you lose. But how are you going to prepare for this week? Are you going to prepare for? Is Ryan going to Horrocks, your coach? Is he going to prepare you much the same way as he does for any other game, or will you be approaching it in a different way, you the players? Izzy, firstly, yourself.
I think much the same. I think we definitely haven't hit our best this year, so I think there's a lot to work on. But I think we sort of just keep it very similar week in, week out, and just play our game. But there is a lot for us to work on. So I think sort of the main points we'll definitely work on at training. But I think keep it very similar to other weeks.
Yeah, Kelsey, what about yourself? I mean, they've got a lot. They've scored a lot of goals, and also they're a similarly stingy defence. They've only conceded 6 goals, but they've scored 20 goals, and they are at the moment the ranked number 1 in the Women's State League One competition. Will your defensive colleagues, I guess, will you guys be working on anything in particular? Will you guys be working on special tactics? Or, as Izzy said, you'll probably approach it just any other game?
Well, we can't give away all of our secrets.
Well done. I love it. Yes, absolutely.
I think Keilor and Bundoora have made the opportunities to capitalise in their attack where they can. Mm-hmm. I think Lara's got one of the strongest defences in the competition, as you've said. So hopefully we can hold that title. We had it all last year. I think we conceded 4 goals, maybe 5 goals last season in State League 2. We work quite well together. We work as a team and we work as a unit at that back line. So it's all just communication's the key. That's the only giveaway I'll give.
And I think Ryan puts so much effort into us, and not only speaking about the players, but the coaches too. Ryan would have watched their games where he can. He would have been there, and so he'll be all over it, I'm sure. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm sure, knowing Ryan the way he is, he will leave no stone unturned in the preparation. That's next Sunday, that big game against Keilor Park. At Keilor Park Reserve, 3 p.m. is it? I'm not too sure exactly the time, but
I think so.
I got late.
Should have done my research a lot better, but either way, it's the big battle, 2nd versus 3rd. We certainly hope that Lara United will bring all 3 points back and jump to 2nd spot on the competition standings. That would be absolutely fantastic. Ladies, thank you very much for joining us here on the in the Club in Focus segment of this week's show, and wishing you all the very best, not just for Sunday, but for the rest of the 2023 season.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Good on you. Thank you so much. Izzy Wilkinson and KASEY ICARDI, they are from the Lara United Football Club. Folks, we're going to take a very, very short break, and when we return, we're going to be talking to PAUL GRZYBEK, the president. Hopefully this time we'll be able to get him. We got him on the show. On the show, we just couldn't get the audio. Hopefully we'll have the audio rectified. Don't go away, folks. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves, and we hopefully now, we've got Paul. Can we hear him? Paul, can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I feel like I've won Oz Lotto. Welcome to the show, mate. How are you? And first of all, congratulations on the start so far. And we're not just necessarily talking about the senior women's and the senior men's who are doing very, very well. And here's a surprise. We've got Eric Lawrence in the green room. So we will be getting another guest from Lara United a little bit later on. But, mate, lots been happening at the club. Take us through some of the highlights of the season so far from a president's point of view.
President's point of view, look, both our state league teams are doing very well, presenting good, giving us opportunities to finish the season, that top 3 or 4, which is you want to be aiming for at the start, and then hopefully go all the way to number 1 if we can. But it's a great start. Looking around the traps a bit, our numbers have grown by about 30% this year on last year. So that's been a massive surge.
Is that across the board, or just the senior players or the junior players? Or
across the board, probably. Mainly, we've probably gained 3 senior teams, local.
Yep.
Well, actually, we 1 state and 2 local men. And then we've had our mini-roos have increased by a lot, actually, to the point where we had to shut registrations down. We just didn't have coaches, and we were struggling with room for training and all that sort of stuff. So
that's amazing. I mean, I've heard around the traps from a lot of other clubs as well that similarly they've had to shut their doors. And that's sad to hear. that kids are being turned away or players are being turned away. But at the same time, it's great to hear the numbers that are increasing. And I think speaking to Mike McKinstry recently here on the Game of Two Halves, he indicated that it's a record year as far as player registrations are concerned. And dare I say, your lovely wife, Kylie, she's one of the councillors on the City of Greater Geelong, and I'm sure they'll be working hard. But I dare say once the Women's World Cup gets underway in July this year, the interest is going to be even more staggering for football, for junior football, and in particular female football. Are we as a sport here in Geelong, Paul, are we ready for it? Are we ready for the onslaught?
I don't think we are.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough training facilities.
Yeah.
The only thing holding us back realistically, look, we've had lights now for 2 years at this point, and the club's grown by almost, it's almost doubled in that time frame. Our training facilities right now are almost at capacity. So we've only just finished off our fencing and all the normal infrastructure most clubs would have. And so now I'm starting to look at trying to find more training facilities so that we can continue to grow the club and support these kids that want to have a game.
Now, for those that are familiar with Lara, it's just growing at a ridiculous rate. There are estates left, right and centre. Is there land available for football fields anywhere around the area?
There's nothing that I know of. Look, in the new developments, I believe there's always supposed to be sporting facilities set up. I think the fight normally is that they generally would set up an Aussie rules cricket sort of a setup.
Yeah.
And which is a bit sad because, I mean, if you have a look at someone like Corio Bay, just off the top of the head, they've got 2 soccer pitches on an ordinary football field and cricket. So it doesn't take much to be able to expand it. And I think, and because soccer's really at the younger age group for these new developments, soccer's the number 1 sport in Australia for primary school kids. And they should be catering for that. I know when they start to go into the teenage years, they start to convert to AFL.
Yeah.
But in the junior years, new developments, soccer would be definitely a winner, I would think.
What's interesting from my experience with speaking to a lot of people is a lot of the kids dabble in Aussie rules, but then they end up coming back to football, to as in soccer, the real football, and also particularly in the game of women's AFL. There was a fad for a while, and they realise they get very injured, and it's not such a good game to play. And then they come back to women's football, which is fantastic. But getting back to Lara Recreation Reserve, as you said, the fencing is up, the club rooms are fantastic, the floodlighting. But there's also been, starting today, there've been some other minor improvements, but nonetheless rather significant. There's some photos from earlier today. It looks like bye-bye to the coaches' boxes and new ones are coming in. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, this has been going for a few months. They were supplied by Bendigo Bank, and Bendigo Bank have come on board again. And so we're going to have 5-metre boxes. So they hold about 6 people, and our new ones will be about 10. Mm-hmm. But the number one thing is, which I've had the biggest complaint of, they've had sponsors on the back of them when I had no fence.
Yeah.
And so they're going over to pitch 2, which will give that a proper setup.
Yep.
And the new ones will be completely clear like they should be. And our supporters will be able to see the game properly.
That's right. They'll be able to see through them. And then they won't have to they'll still be able to see Eric Lawrence, the senior coach of the men's, and Ryan Horrocks of the women's. In fact, speaking of Eric Lawrence, he will be joining us very, very shortly. So we're looking forward to that. The Lara men have started really well. But overall, Paul, as you mentioned, the club's virtually doubled. There's 3 new senior teams. A couple of them are men's and another one a women's. Obviously, Lara needed a reserves team as well to field in State 1, but also there's a community team as well. So that's quite incredible that you've been able to manage to attract that many new senior teams as well, plus all the juniors. There must be a real hive of activity, particularly on match days, whether it be men's or women's, but also when it's the juniors, social functions. What's the feeling at the moment down at Lara Recreation Reserve?
Yeah, you're right, Tons. It's very busy. We used to have some quieter days generally, whereas now I'm at the club probably 6 days a week, and there's always something to do. It's people is everywhere all the time. It's crazy, actually, considering how the club was probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Just getting the basic numbers out in juniors, and now any training night, the 2 pitches are chockers, and we've got people waiting to go on and waiting to get off.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's fantastic. It's a lot of hard work from our committee that have done all this for a lot of years. We've had Biznella hang around for a long time. Actually, been with the club since day dot. Hodges has been around. Viva and Petstock have come on this year as new sponsors, so we've been able to attract new sponsorship as well because of the growth in the children and the women and everything. And obviously Judy Hill's been around and was our treasurer up until last year. So she's been a fantastic support for a long time now too.
She has indeed. And this actual segment is being sponsored by J Hill Bookkeeping. So for all of your bookkeeping needs, do contact Judy Hill Bookkeeping. Mate, we're at the halfway mark of the season. We're virtually at the halfway mark of the season for most of the competitions. What's going to be the main focus off the field for Lara United in the second half of the season? Is it just sort of getting through the season and all the day-to-day running of the club, or do you already start to sort of semi-plan for next season and next year and things like that? How do you balance the two? Worrying about the here and now, and then worrying about what needs to come later on.
What I've found so far in this half of the year is because of the growth. I'm already starting to plan for next year. I need to find more training facilities. We've probably made a few little mistakes here and there that we'll correct for next season. Our focus will be probably off-field, some functions, keep the camaraderie of the club together, because our men and women, since we've had the club rooms, that's been the big win. We've had everyone be able to come together under one roof and enjoy each other's company. And I think that's probably been one of the most major changes within the scene over quite a few years, is that the groups that we're all split up training everywhere are now under one roof and under one set of lights. So in an internal sort of sense, we'll just keep enjoying each other's company and keep having a bit of fun. It's just a game at the end of the day, realistically. And but I've got my eye on everything to try and go for next year. I'm already thinking about next year a lot. So I don't get to enjoy it as much as I'd like to sometimes, because my brain's always ticking over of what's around the corner. So and I'm sure I'm not the only president and committee doing the same in every other club.
No, that's right. They usually say coaches are just a crazy breed. They start dreaming about formations and things like that. But club administrators aren't too far behind. In fact, they're probably in the same boat exactly. But mate, thank you very much, Paul, for joining us on the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's been an absolute pleasure getting an insight into Lara United, and we thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Tons. Take care, mate. I'll catch you around.
Good on you. Wish you all the very best. Paul GRZYBEK, the president of the Lara United Football Club, as we've just heard, a club that in the last few years has just managed to double its size, both in registrations and the number of teams it fields as well. Folks, don't go away. When we return after the break, after the very, very short break, we'll be speaking to the coach of the Lara United senior men's team, who had a very good win on the weekend. And they've got a big game coming up again this weekend. We'll be speaking to Eric Lawrence. Don't go away. Well, we're nearly done for another week, folks. It's been a mammoth episode of the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Big shout out to our major sponsor, Euro Football Star. Without EFS, we would not be delivering this podcast this year. And also a massive shout out to J Hill Bookkeeping, who have sponsored our local game segment in this week's show, focusing on Lara United, or featuring Lara United as our club in focus. It's my pleasure now to bring to the show, to the microphone, the coach, the coach of the senior men's team of Lara United, Eric Lawrence. And Eric joins us now on the program straight from the training track. Eric, it's a bit cold out there tonight, isn't it?
Hey, Tonchi, how you going?
I'm very well, mate. I'm very well. How are you, mate? How's things with you?
No, it's been good. It's been good. Busy night, but yeah, I'm here now. I wanted to come on, so I'm happy I'm here.
You did, and you promised if you could get on in time, you would. And we've tried to push the show back as far as possible. But mate, let's get on and talk about the weekend. What a great result it was on the weekend. A 4-1 win over Ballarat. 4 different goal scorers: Oscar Mayondo, Jordan Nelson, Josh Kuipers, and Jai Watts as well. Mate, 5 wins, 2 draws and a loss. 1 loss only from the opening 8 games. You must be pretty happy with the performance so far.
I am pretty happy with it. It could have been better. I was very disappointed to drop points at Wyndham last weekend. I really expected to win that game and be right up a bit further up that ladder. But as far as compared to last season and where we want to be, we're right up there. We're right amongst it. 2 teams should be getting promoted this year, so that's our aim. And we're right amongst it at the moment where we want to be.
It is 2 teams that are getting promoted, is it? Or
hopefully, they said they probably will be, but you don't know with FFE. So
yeah, well, that was the thing, right at the start of the competition, you ask anyone that they don't know. So for our graphic there, we've only got the top team, and at the moment, Balmoral are just the runaway steam train at the moment, and they've got a couple of players that used to play in NPL competitions and what you're not. So they'd be very hard to catch. So it gives the rest of the field a little bit of hope there. I'll pop that graphic up again. West Point, I think, on the weekend lost, if I'm not mistaken. So
they lost 2 in a row. So,
yeah,
it's up a little bit.
Yeah, so there's it provides hope, that's for sure. Look, if we turn our attention now to this weekend, Ballarat hosting Deakin Ducks on Saturday, but on Friday night, all roads lead to Lara Recreation Reserve at 8:30 p.m. for the big game against Surfside Waves. Yes, the Waves have been struggling this year. 7 losses from their 8 games. They've only won 1. And on the weekend, they suffered a disastrous result, losing to the bottom side ETA Buffalo, who had previously lost 7 of their opening 7 matches. Mate, on paper, it should be an easy win. But local derbies, we know the form book gets thrown out the window. What do you do to keep, the lid on complacency and overconfidence?
We just approach the game as we approach any game, and we just go out there to play our football. We don't worry about the opponent or what they're going to do. We just sort of focus on us, make sure we bring that level, that fight, that intensity we want, and then we should be just too good if we bring that. Mm-hmm. If we let them into the game and we leave them in the game, then anything can happen. But I'm confident that we'll be too good. Yeah, if we go out there and we bring our best football, all the boys show up.
Yeah. And what's it been like, the competition for places this year? I know, speaking to you prior to the season, you did say you had a lot of players. I think at one stage you had 50 players turning up to pre-season trials. Has that been reflected in the battle for starting positions and spots in the first 11? How have you found that the competition for places?
It was really good. It's been really good. Having that depth. We've actually had quite a lot of injuries this season. But it hasn't affected us as much as it would in previous seasons because of the depth. Like Damon Nasta, he was a big signing for us, and he actually hasn't. I think he played 30 minutes in the seniors this season. And, there's a lot of players that would be right up there in our senior team that haven't played any football this year yet.
Damien, is he likely to come back soon?
Oh, he done a hamstring really bad, so I don't know. He's probably still 4, 5, 6 weeks away. And Tristan McGrath's also been out for a couple of weeks. Connor McGrath's on crutches right now.
No.
So we've actually got 12 players out of our seniors and reserves list that are injured at the moment. But the depth is
then.
holding strong. The guys that are coming in are stepping up and getting the job done.
Yeah. At one stage, I think Tristan McGrath, even now, is leading the goal scoring charts. In fact, he is. He scored 13 goals. His nearest one is a fella from West Point on 8, Balmoral 8 as well. So he's at the moment leading goal scorer. So that illustrates just how important and how much of a key player he is to the team. What's his chances of returning sometime shortly?
Well, he's got a broken finger, but it's like more up higher in the hand, so he's just sort of trying to manage that. He's still been training, but he just sort of might struggle with that intense contact. But hopefully, he wants to come back this weekend, but I might still hold him back, and just we want him for that. The next 2 games are Balmoral away and Melton Phoenix away, so probably the biggest part of our season is those 2 games right there. So that's the one we really want to have him there for. Because he's such a massive part of our team, and if he's in our team, we're a different team, and we're very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, it's the support from the club, the supporters. It's becoming more and more of a match day event. A lot of people, a lot of younger kids turning up to the games as well. Do you prefer playing the games on a Saturday afternoon, sort of that family friendly time, or do you prefer it on a Friday night and sort of you can stay in the club rooms that little bit later and celebrate and all of that kind of stuff, playing under lights? Do you have a preference or the muchness?
We absolutely, as a team, we prefer those night games. We love playing under lights in front of. We get a decent crowd down there. The Friday nights, we could only do it for Surfside and Deakin. Obviously, with the reserves having to travel down from Melbourne, it doesn't work. But yeah, we love those night games, and you know when teams come and play us under lights, they don't usually walk away with any points. So it gives us a big boost. It's sort of my players like to lift, and the crowd really you get a better crowd, and they're really vocal. They really help you out.
I'll tell you what, something about night games in winter under floodlights, you rug up and there's nothing better. Well, I guess that's the incentive, isn't it? If you can secure that second spot, get promoted to State 4 next year, there's 3 Geelong region clubs in that region. So you'd have one more than than this year. Pretty much what happened last year. But mate, there's going to be a lot of excitement, no doubt. We haven't reached the halfway mark. We're fast approaching the halfway mark of the season. But for you guys, it all kicks off this Friday night, 8:30 p.m. there at Lara Recreation Reserve against Surfside Waves. It's one end of Geelong against the other end of Geelong, the 2 most furthest points. Mate, wishing you all the very best. And once again, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight.
No dramas at all, Tonchi. Good to be on here.
Good on you. Eric Lawrence, a big supporter, not just of Lara United Football Club, but also of football in Geelong, and a big supporter of this show. So a personal thank you to Eric and to everyone at Lara United who have been very, very supportive of the show over the last few years, whether it be the Geelong Region Soccer Show or now, as it is called, the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Folks, that brings us to the end of yet another episode, and what a big episode it was tonight. Well, we've gone an hour and 15 minutes, so not quite the full 90 minutes, but nonetheless, thank you so much for being a part of tonight's show. We really appreciated having you on here. Next week, we're going to have just as big a show, and we really look forward to having your company again next Monday night at 8 p.m. for the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Until then, there's a lot of football coming this weekend and also tomorrow night as well. So if you've got nothing to do midweek, go on to npl.tv, either the app or on the browser, and tune in to some fine Australia Cup football on tomorrow night. You'll enjoy my company at Alco Park as I'll be calling that game. And also remember the Geelong versus Brimbank Stallions game from City Vista Reserve. That will also be streamed live. So some midweek football action coming your way. Good night, folks, and thank you for once again, thank you for being a part of tonight's show. Good night.